Cool. So we're sitting in the Do It Now office with Max Knox. Max, welcome being here with us and having this a little time to talk to us.
Thanks, Francois. Yeah, it's
Excellent.
an absolute pleasure.
Cool, man. So Max, what we're going to do is ask you a few questions for our Do It Now subscribers to get to know you a bit better. They've seen a lot of photos of you and see you racing, but maybe this is a way for them to get introduced as to who Max Knox really is, maybe behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So can you tell us the first time when you got into a bike? Can you remember like your first bike and your first experience on a bike?
I actually do. I remember we used to live on a farm in East Griqualand. It's in Coxdad, and I think my parents bought a 5-speed Nishiki for me with a speedometer, and I remember going down a huge hill, and I think I got to 35 kilometers an hour, and that's my first memory of biking. I rode home to show them that I'd gone 35 k's an hour. Yeah, it had no fork, nothing.
Nothing on it?
No.
Cool, man. How did you get into pro racing? Did you remember your first sponsored race? Like, what was your moment to take up cycling more?
I actually remember my first race was a national in Vicksburg. I think I was 11 years old and I'm 24 now, so it's 14 years ago. I raced, I think, one lap and I thought it was the end of the world. It was about 6 k's and I saw guys, I think, Alden Baker, Manny Heymans, I don't know, I can't remember if they raced in that race in particular, but I mean, there were guys like that racing the circuit, and some of the juniors were like Koos Groenewald and they were sub-juniors, and John Paul Pieton and Chris Catel, and I looked at them and I thought it's impossible to run 5 laps, 30 kilometers, I'll never do it. And I mean, I just stuck to it, and that was my first national ever, yeah, and from then I knew that that was what I would do when I was older.
Nice. From all the great races that you've entered, the Epic, Sani, Kartkloof, Pioneer Trek, Transalps, you've spoken about it. From those, which is your favorite marathon or one-day race?
It's really hard to say. There's some very special races in South Africa. Obviously, I think my favorite one at the moment is Sani to see. It's really well organized, and you know, it's hard to say which race is your best because you know all of them have a special meaning for me. I love racing the Lowveld. It's beautiful there. Lots of good races. Sabi, Barberton. Also racing overseas is really cool. I've raced in BC Bike Race, which is a lot more laid back. It's not so professionally run from that aspect, but from the aspect of the courses, it's really cool. Technical single track the whole time, and that's what mountain biking is about. Cool,
excellent. If you have to single out one personality trait for a rider to have to turn professional, what do you reckon is an important trait the guy must have?
It's really hard to say, you know. I mean, I know cycling's become such a popular sport in South Africa, and in particular mountain biking, and there are a lot of young guys that are trying to race professionally and make a living out of it. I think from a riding aspect, you've got to have self-discipline, respect, confidence, you've got to work hard, you've got to have a never give up attitude, which is not really one word, but I mean, you've got to try to take all that stuff into consideration. Self-discipline is really important. And then from yourself personally as an individual, you know, a lot of guys market you and advertise you, and to be involved with a rider, you've got to be a likable person, you've got to sort of you've got to represent mountain biking well, and I think mountain biking is a different culture compared to road racing and stuff like that. I think guys are a lot more friendly and outgoing, and I think the sport in particular, all the people that race are enjoyable people and enjoy being around people and the outdoors and things like that. So I think you have to have that aspect also. You have to be interested in being outdoors, and it's not an office job. You have to understand that it takes a different type of discipline and commitment.
How important is navigation?
But, yeah, you've got to know where you're going.
If you had an opportunity to line up a race, riders that have retired, anybody, legends, anybody, if you have the opportunity to pull guys out and line up with them to race them, who would you like to have on that line with you?
It's a really hard question, but to be honest with you, I think mountain biking has got such wonderful personalities. I mean, some of the people I would love to race who are retired would be like Thomas Frischnet. I know when I started, he was one of my big heroes. Guys like Manny Heymans, they really are true characters of the sport, and for sure they bring their own unique personalities to mountain biking, you know, and I'd love to race guys like that, which I do most weekends, so it's cool.
Just for a quick, jumping into the roadies, what do you think of a rider like Lance Armstrong? What do you think he's done for cycling?
It's very hard for me to say. I mean, I think the measurable impact that he's had on sport in the world is very big. He's been a cancer survivor, and I mean, I couldn't really ever say what he's done, but I think he's made it a mainstream sport in countries where it wasn't. Like, for example, South Africa, it's become a lot popular. You get a lot more TV exposure and coverage thanks to people like Lance Armstrong, because the general public are interested, and his daily lifestyle, the soap opera that is Lance Armstrong. So I think he's done a lot more good for the sport than he's done bad. I mean, I think personally, as a person, because you're a winner in something doesn't make you a good person. Like, I'm sure I've seen Lance Armstrong, he looks very focused and determined. I think maybe being around him wouldn't be the best thing, but from an outsider's perspective, I think he looks like a good person because he's achieved well, but I think maybe he's not. But I mean, on the sport in general, he's done more good, I think.
Awesome. We're going to quickly look at you and Adrian, who have teamed up this year, and
Yes.
you guys have done well as a combination together. You've done a great race, Joburg to see, had a crash in the third. You had a first at Sani, which was excellent. How do you guys complement each other on those marathons? How do you guys like pull each other?
For sure. I mean, stage racing's really hard, and I mean, you're out there for a lot of time, and you're on the maximum the whole time. So I mean, you test each other's character, of course. And you know, for me personally, I really enjoyed riding with Adrian. He's got a firm outlook and a positive outlook on life that you don't really find in many other people. And Joburg to see, for sure, he had patience when we were having problems. And I mean, I really enjoyed riding him. You know, he's got a never give up attitude, and he fights hard, and that's all you can ask for in a partner. You know, he's quiet, and I think what he's achieved in mountain biking in a short career is really phenomenal. And I think, you know, the general public in South Africa will get to know a lot more of him over the next few years. I've seen behind the scenes what a great character he is, you know, and he's really silent and humble. But I mean, once you get to know him, I think you'll see the amazing personality and the humour that he actually does have. And I think the public in the next few years will see what a good character he is.
No, definitely. What do you do when you're not like training for racing? Like, what do you do when Max not kicks back?
I have a few things which I enjoy doing. I won't say gardening or anything like that. I do enjoy the outdoors. I love fishing. I like being in warm areas. I don't like the cold. I enjoy the low felt in particular. I know it sounds like such a very corny cliche. Ooh, where would you love to go on holiday? And I like Sabia. I like the low felt, and it's a beautiful area. I like Mozambique. I like the beach. I enjoy doing things like that.
Yeah, okay, man. If professional cycling was not a sport, what do you think you would have done as an alternate?
That's a tough one. It would have definitely been something involved in sports, maybe bass fishing. I don't know. just something out there, different, and anything wild and adventurous. Yeah.
Cool, man. So looking at your CV and races that you've done, and the thing is what you've accomplished. The thing is, in such a short time, you've really done like exceptionally well. But I'm sure there's a lot more. What can we sort of look out for? What's Max Knox still have in store? What's your next focus? Like, big thing?
I think definitely in South Africa, I've still got a lot to achieve that I'd like to personally achieve. I know Barry was the first South African to win the Absa Cape Epic this year. I'd still love to do that, and then I'm covering Parrot for sure. That would be one of my biggest goals. Winning races pretty much anywhere. It's fun. I take great satisfaction winning, and when I go to the start line, I also want to win the race. So pretty much in South Africa, the Epic and any other big one-day race.
Cool, man. So Jason from Ballistic Bike Trading is your your new sponsor.
Yes.
He's importing the Ghost bikes. How do you find those bicycles?
Yeah, they're really awesome, to be honest. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've adapted very quickly. Obviously, I rode another brand for the last 3 years, and to come on board in the last 6 weeks, I think I've achieved a lot already. And I mean, I felt comfortable on the first day. I got on the bike. It's got a much shorter geometry from wheelbase to wheelbase, a lot more aggressive. Handles the single tracks very well. It's also got a beefed up BB, and the headset's a lot stiffer, which makes it nice on the climbs too. You get good sensations, and the acceleration from fast to slow you can do very good, which is important in racing, especially when you're trying to ride against the guys that are riding 29ers now, where it's slow, where they maintain a good speed. And it's one of the things that I found really cool about the bike. It handles very well, which is awesome.
Awesome, man. Okay, cool. We're going to end up with some quickies, so you can't think about them.
Okay.
So downhill or uphill?
Downhill.
Mud or dust?
That was a joke. Don't tell the competition. Mud.
Mud. Hardtail or softtail?
Hardtail.
Hardtail. Spinning or training on a trainer?
Ooh, spinning.
Single or jeep track?
Single.
Beef or chicken?
Beef.
Spirits or beer?
Spirits.
Cool, man. Well, Max, thanks for the time. Thanks for talking to us. It was real fun. I'm sure the guys will get to know you more with all the articles and stuff that will be featuring in the magazine. Good luck, and you will definitely be there supporting you guys. Doesn't matter what happens.
Thanks very much, Francois. Thanks
Excellent.
for having me.
Thanks, man.
Sweet.